Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. There were supposed to be cats there. They clearly are none. I don't control them. If anything, they control me. So let's keep our fingers crossed that at one point they decide to join us. Anyhow, I figured why not switch gears a little bit today and talk about my favorite thing in the world, which is horror. And I have a feeling that if you're into true crime, then the likelihood of you being into horror is pretty high. And if you watch YouTube and you're anything like me, then you've probably spent hours looking at videos titled something like the most disturbing films you haven't watched, which is probably what I'm going to end up calling this video. I know that I've watched tens, if not hundreds, of those videos. But sometimes it can feel like watching the same video about the same movies over and over again. So I figured, why not make my own list of hidden gems and ruin your guys' day? So number 5, I don't think I've ever heard anyone talking about this one, which is shocking. If you like The Audition, you will love this one, I guarantee it. And the movie I'm talking about is The Eyes of My Mother. The most troubling scene, to me at least, takes place within the first 10 minutes of the movie. Without spoiling too much, our protagonist, Francisca, is a girl of about 7 years old. In the opening scene, the girl can be found playing in front of her house, and unfortunately, she attracts the attention of a very creepy door-to-door salesman. The next scene shows the man and the girl enter the house, and straight away, it's apparent the man is there to hurt them. In a really gut-wrenching scene, the mother makes the decision to sacrifice herself in order to save her daughter. The way she goes about it, however, is what really makes the scene. Not long after, the father comes back home and finds the gruesome scene, but thankfully he's able to capture the perpetrator. He then imprisons the attacker in the barn and decides to let his young daughter do with him as she pleases. The majority of the movie takes place years later when Francisca is a teenager who's quite ill-adjusted due to the trauma, loneliness, and let's not forget having her mother's killer chained up in the barn. Despite the extreme violence and cruelty, the atmosphere of the movie is unlike anything I've seen before. The climate is extremely distressing, but, and don't come after me, refined in a way. In my eyes, one of the most underrated horror movies ever. Number 4 is a slightly more popular entry, although I'm not sure if popular is a good way of describing it. It's an acquired taste, and it's definitely the most graphic entry on this list, and I'm obviously talking about The Sadness. Absolutely nothing is off limits, and someone should probably check on the director, as his creativity when it comes to depravity is something else. The premise is simple. A virus turns people into these maniacal, sadistic zombies which want nothing more than to find their next victim and to subject them to the most depraved acts humanly possible. And we're following a couple, Jim and Kat, who learn about the epidemic and spend the movie attempting to reunite and escape the craziness. Again, I have to give it to the director of this movie. His imagination in terms of inflicting suffering knows no bounds. I know I said this already, but this movie is not for the faint of heart. The sheer level of violence shown, it's almost like it's on another level entirely. The amount of fast-paced action rivals that of the newest Mad Max movies. That being said, it's not in any way sophisticated, and clearly the aim was to shock the viewer and push the boundaries, all of which they succeeded at. Also, keep in mind that there are multiple scenes of SA. Number 3, you may have seen the 2024 remake of this movie with James McAvoy, but in this video we'll be focusing on the 2022 original. And the movie I'm talking about is Speak No Evil. The movie follows a pleasant, easygoing couple, Bjorn and Louise, who are vacationing in Italy with their daughter. As often happens, they end up making friends with the other family who happen to have a son of a similar age. At the end of the vacation, both families head back home to their respective countries. Our protagonists back to Denmark, and their newest friends to the Netherlands. Shortly after, Bjorn and Louise receive a postcard from the Dutch couple inviting them to come visit. Since the couple feels like they could use some fun adventure, they decide to take them up on the offer and drive to the Netherlands. The movie quickly becomes really uncomfortable. You know that feeling when you can tell that something's wrong, but you just can't put your finger on it? Slowly, Bjorn and Louise are starting to feel like the family's behaviors are inappropriate, but not quite improper enough to confront them about it. Speak No Evil does an excellent job of being subtle and will make you ask yourself, at which point would I have spoken up? And would my fear of coming off as impolite or judgmental impede on my ability to remain safe in a questionable situation? Also, I hate to be one of those annoying people who says the original was so much better than the remake, but it really was. And if you only have seen the remake, please, I urge you, go watch the 2022 version. It's different enough that you will enjoy it, I swear. Number 2, this movie is slightly different from the other entries on this list. It's not strictly horror, but it's so disturbing and hope destroying that it's close. It's a Swedish movie made in 2002, and it tells the story of a young girl named Lilia, and we're never explicitly told her age, but she looks to be about 13 years old. And the movie I'm talking about is Lilia Forever. Lilia lives in the former Soviet Union and spends her days dreaming of a better tomorrow while living in extreme poverty and doing drugs to escape the bleakness of her everyday life. She spends most of her time with a friend whose situation closely resembles her own, as he too is left to his own devices. The movie is exceptional at portraying what a lot of kids have to put up with: parental abandonment, living in poverty, where sniffing glue and losing yourself even further is a fair trade-off for a moment of peace. It also shows how easily these children can be targeted by predators who can sweep them off their feet by telling them fairy tales of the things they could do together. It's quite terrifying how a little bit of affection makes Lilia overlook all the red flags and get taken advantage of in the worst way possible. An extremely soul-crushing, raw, and sobering movie that will haunt you for days to come. And finally, number 1, I think this may come as a disappointment to many of you. I'm not selling it that well, but I am such a big fan of this movie. I can't stop talking about it. I mention it so often, you'd think the director was paying me to advertise it, which is not the case. Disclaimer. Normally, I'm not a fan of anything paranormal or demonic possessions, but this movie just put such a fresh spin on it. Number 1, When Evil Lurks. The movie's about 2 brothers, Pedro and Jimmy, who live in a small village in Argentina. We quickly learn that in the area they're from, many are of a belief that people can become inflicted with this pretty disgusting infection of a demonic origin. The brothers are then sent to this house to deal with a male who has clearly been suffering with it for a long time, far longer than he should have been, and you will agree with that if you watch the movie and see it for yourself. In this case, dealing with it means disposing of the body while following a special protocol in order to prevent the disease from spreading, and thus put an end to further demonic possessions. Sounds like a relatively familiar concept, but somehow this one just gets under the skin and plants the seed of dread. It's extremely hard to come across an idea or a style that hasn't been overdone in one way or another. Either too gruesome and grotesque because of it, or so subtle that trying to dissect it becomes a chore. Damien Rogna somehow created a movie that packs a punch immediately and does not let up. There are some extremely violent moments, but none of them as unbearable as the constant tension you find yourself in when watching. Absolutely cannot wait for whatever he comes up with next, as everything he's directed so far has been a hit. And that was my list of 5 disturbing movies you haven't seen. There's a lot more where that came from, and if you'd like a part 2, please let me know. Also, if you have any recommendations for me, drop them down below. I'll make sure to check them out. And obviously, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you spending time with me, and hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. I just realized the cats never came.